All right, welcome back to Boring Land. So
I thought I was dead. I haven't been here for a few videos. I was hoping it was gone.
You have no idea how much life was pumped into that. I saw two comments.
Two comments on it?
One straight out said hashtag Boring Land. I almost lost my mind. The second one said, hey, you guys are calling it Boring Land. You should keep going with that and don't start off with saying Boring Review Nation. Just do Boring Land and it'll become more cult classic.
It was funny when
I wish I had his name. Thank you.
When you got Chris to say it, I was laughing because I was like, I know that was like pulling teeth. So yes, hello Boring Land. Hello Boring Land. And as you can see, we're both wearing sweaters, man. It's freezing out here. This is Vegas. It's not supposed to be 45 degrees.
Desert nothing.
Desert nothing, exactly.
Most Halloween nights, it's still hot outside. But man alive, it was cold for Halloween this year, so global warming, here they come.
Oh, man. But in any event, we're here to review a movie that was suggested, requested a few times, and finally got around to it. Again, we have a very long list. But Nick, you want to introduce that movie?
We're talking about the movie Pink. Now, I mentioned in one of the comments to someone who was asking, where's the Pink reaction at? We got to get this. This is a great movie. And so... little inside information. We actually was it you that we started? Yeah, I think it was you. We started to react to it, and again, we are a family-friendly channel. We have no problem talking about movies that are rated R or TV mature, as far as a review goes. But the trailer itself, and honestly, I'm not going to get into it, but it alluded to something else that had nothing to do with the movie. So I'm not sure what's up with that trailer. I got to watch it again. But we just felt like, we really can't talk about this with the adult matter that is the basis of this movie. So
right.
We watched the movie, and man alive, I am so glad I did.
You know, I tell you what, it definitely hit some nerves. It definitely touched some nerves for me. And, you know, we both have daughters, first and foremost. So as a father, you feel very, very protective. But, you know, just in general, man, with some of I think this movie was important. It comments on something that's obviously not just a problem here in America, but all over the world, and that's, you know, women being taken advantage of and women being abused. And I mean, again, for anybody that doesn't think it's a current issue, I mean, take your pick. You got here at home, domestically in America, I should say, you got the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, Bill Cosby's. I mean, Me Too movement was huge, and it was real, and all these women came out. And as a father, my biggest fear, you know, for me, the one that would really bother me was the women's gymnastic team. I mean, this was 2 decades of sexual molestation.
We won't get into details there.
2 decades. I have a daughter. She performs on a dance team. My daughter doesn't go anywhere by herself, period. And she has traveled to California to perform. She performs here in Vegas. She performs all over the place. She's only 13, but you have to protect them because as young as that age, some of those girls, you know, had revealed that this is what happened to them. So I thought this movie was really important.
And let's just say, I mean, this is definitely going to be, we're not going to go into any specific words, but this is going to be more of a mature review.
Definitely mature.
So, you know, any kids, any students out there, you are warned right now, okay? We are saying that.
Pass this one up, guys.
Again, we are going to sugarcoat a few areas, but you really can't review this movie without talking about some of the mature themes that are involved. But I mean, you're right. This is definitely relevant. But with this movie, you can take a movie and have it based on what happened in real life, and it's not necessarily going to hit home or be powerful. This movie, if I can use one word, is powerful. Absolutely. This is an extremely well-made movie. I cannot stress that enough. And with this movie in particular, I honestly was fooled. And let me get into that for a second. There is, at the beginning... Now, full disclosure, I didn't think this movie was a perfect movie. And let me just start with one small negative I had with this movie, and that is the acting of our 3 lead females. They were not bad actors at all, or bad actresses whatsoever. But there was several times where, just in the dialogue they were having in the apartment or whatever, where some of the lines seemed just not as natural as you would like with an actor. When they were in the courtroom or they were showing emotion, that was on point. Right. That was my only issue, but I want to get into acting because I was totally fooled. There is a character in this movie that for the first 30 minutes or so, maybe longer than that, I thought this guy is the worst actor of all time. And they casted this guy.
Right.
They put him in this movie, and he's just standing there staring at people, doing nothing.
Right.
I thought, honestly, I wasn't going to turn it off, but I thought, this is really, really bad. And sometimes we have movies with bad acting.
Right.
But let me say, man, was I wrong. Tell them why I was wrong.
He's talking about the lawyer, and I felt the same way at first. I'm like,
Deepak, right? Or Deepak?
Deepak, right? Deepak, something to that effect. I thought to myself, what is? At first, we didn't even know he was a lawyer. I thought he was a stalker. I thought he was someone else who was gonna attack this female or something to that effect.
Or he just didn't like women or something.
Yeah, he was like so weird. And then you find out his backstory and find out that no, he's a proponent for them. He's a very famous lawyer. He had to be tired because his wife fell ill.
And he had mental issues as well, right?
Yeah, he had some mental issues, and
some medication.
That actually came up a few times in court where you're like, oh man, he's about to blow it. He's about to blow it.
He was zoning out.
And I'm like, wow, but he was unbelievable. This movie was 2 movies, in my opinion. It was a courtroom drama, and one of my favorite movies of all time is A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson.
Handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. This entire movie pretty much just took place in that courtroom setting, and it was very little action at all. I mean, there was a couple scenes with the soldiers, but for the most part, it was all dialogue, and it was amazing.
And it was built up. I just want real quick. I made a mistake right this. This was what Tom Cruise says is what I want the truth. So you're right. So I got to correct that. But just real quick, going back to the lawyer, I just wanted to say he became my favorite character by far. The actor did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
Once I knew it was a mental illness type thing and he was trying to figure it out, and he's dealing with the stress of his wife.
Right.
I mean, this guy was my favorite part of the movie. Right. He had powerful moments, and the screenplay. I love the screenplay. The dialogue was great. I loved his safety rules for women, the safety manual.
Right.
That I had never seen that idea whatsoever in a movie. I love the court shows, the court movies, but man alive, he was my favorite part of this movie, and there's a lot of good things I like about this movie.
He was amazing, and I think that I had heard, the safety rules, that's a true thing. It's out there. And it was like, because apparently if a woman gets attacked, it's their fault for whatever the behavior was. And he was just explaining the absurdity of that, and the way that he used that concept to show the courtroom like their only crimes were being women. Their only crimes were allowing themselves to be invited for a drink, or
so in other words, they committed no crime.
Exactly. And
they were trying to enjoy a social time.
The hypocrisy was what he showed, and he did an amazing job. I mean, as far as a courtroom drama, his performance was up there with the Tom Cruises of the world.
Definitely.
Primal Fear. That was another one with Richard Gere. I love that part of the movie. Now, I will tell you what, the 3 female actresses, the lead actress, the main actress herself, at times I even got annoyed with her. But the one that I felt was the strongest was the oldest of the 3, that she ends up losing her job behind this whole situation. And she does something that at first I'm like, what are you doing? Did I miss something?
That was brilliant.
And I'm like,
it threw me off completely.
And they're basically the guy's defense. And you know what? Wow, we're all over the place.
Yeah, let's focus in. So this movie, I'm going to put it as PG as possible. So this movie centers around 3 girls spending time with 3 gentlemen and having some drinks, socializing. They came from a rock concert. The gentleman, one of them, very rich and influential, his family is. And so invite him back to his little villa, his little hotel there, his resort. And they have some drinks. And the gentlemen are thinking the girls like them. The girls aren't there for boyfriends. They're just there to have a good time and to socialize. And things go wrong. The gentleman assumes something. The gentleman, for lack of a better term, attack these women. And one of the girls defends herself, hits the guy, bam, in the head with a bottle. He gets some, and that part was really powerful. I mean, they showed the effect of something like that would happen. Usually in movies, you get hit in the bottle and they fall down, they get back up, slapstick. Right. No, this guy had shards close to his eye and his head. He had bandages, he had scars for a long time.
Major surgery.
Unfortunately for them, this guy's family was very influential.
Very powerful.
The girls, they just, and that's the thing. We just totally spoiled it for you. You get piece by piece as this movie goes on, and that was a great way of narrating the story.
Yes.
Because the whole time, I just want to know what happened, because I was thinking something totally different.
Right.
But they're just trying to move on. They're trying to forget about it. Eventually, they go to the cops, and the police, in my opinion, they don't flat out tell you this, but they see whose person's name it is.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not going to do this.
Right.
They tell them it's really not going to work out. You might as well just forget about it. Don't worry about it.
That's exactly what he did.
But then they ticked off this guy's friends. And one of his friend, I can't remember his character's name right now. He's the same guy that was in Gully Boy as his friend, who was using the kids to help with his little dealing business.
Yes.
This guy, I'm loving this actor. He's a character actor. He's a minor character, but he did a great job in both roles. I just want to throw him some love. Here's his picture right here. He did a great job. But they, testosterone. They got mad, and so they got mad at the girls, complained, and so they took it the next step. The girl gets arrested for attempted manslaughter.
Murder. Yeah, was it manslaughter? I thought it was attempted murder.
Attempted murder. You're right.
Attempted murder.
Manslaughter would have been doing her a favor. Attempted murder, and so that's why she is in the court. The girls are arrested for soliciting. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
Which there was no basis on that, but that's how far they went. And so they're trying to defend themselves, trying to get out of trouble, and they really have nowhere to turn. But luckily, they have this lawyer who's retired, who was a big shot at one time, to defend them. So go ahead.
And what happened was the lawyer ended up being the neighbor, and he saw her the night that they came in after the incident. So he knew they came in all disheveled, and he's very observant. He speaks seldomly. Like the first half an hour of the movie, he doesn't crack a word.
No, he just
but
stares.
He's very observant, and he watches everything. That's why I thought at first he was like a weirdo. He was a creep. But you find out that he's just observing everything, and he realizes, no, these girls were the victims here, and it's injustice what's happening to them. So I'm going to go ahead and fight for them, which was a great part. But their whole defense, again, it's the women's fault. The whole defense was that they were, quote unquote, soliciting, and they were saying, oh, well, okay, all that happened was that they wanted money. That's why they even went to court and filed a complaint at first. So the oldest one of the group goes out and takes away their only defense. The only way I can do it is like the Eminem did in 8 Mile. Okay, I'm going to tell you everything bad about me. You can say, your only defense is that we were soliciting money? Fine. If we did take the money and we were soliciting money, then why would the attack still have to happen? If once you exchange money, then the deal is done, right? It's sealed.
But I mean,
that completely blew away there. But it took a lot of guts to say that.
Oh man,
you know what I mean?
And I was so confused. I was like, no, I was believing that they weren't soliciting.
Right.
And she straight out says, we did. I mean, she totally lied, but she straight out said, we did. And her friends were like, what are you saying? No, because they have their reputation. They have their families to think about. And even when they get back home during recess for that day of the court, one of the girls slaps her in the face, and they both say, I'm sorry. They both hug it out. But it was brilliant because she did it on purpose, like you said, to take away the ammunition from the lawyer, where he couldn't keep going back to that. And the great thing about that is they tied it into what the lawyer was saying the whole time. Even though we took money, which they didn't, even though we took money, it gives you no right to do what you did, to assume anything. We still get a chance to refuse what you are trying to have us do.
Which was a stroke of genius. The one thing that upset me about this movie, but at the same token, we have to be candid and say this is real, and it's art imitating real life. You're like, well, wait a minute, how did this guy go from being the attacker to being the victim? Well, his family was powerful, and you see how even the police officers got involved and falsified reports or whatnot.
Who wants to mess with that guy?
And nobody, and it was like, well, would that happen? Yes, it would, because how many complaints weren't already out there against Bill Cosby that just got, thrown under the rug against Harvey Weinstein for decades? This stuff happens when you're powerful and influential. You can make things disappear. You can make things go away.
Because it sounds cold-hearted, but let's be honest here. Let's all be honest for a second. Who's gonna put themselves on the line, put their job on the line for someone you don't know? Now, you would hope as a police officer, and I love and respect the police 100%, you would hope as a police officer that they would, because that's kind of their job.
Right.
But I mean, you're right. It's the thing I loved about this movie is I felt like it was so real. And it's a movie, but even the way it progressed was such a natural way it would progress. I really love everything about this movie. One of the things I love in the courtroom, you always got to have a few courtroom parts that just like really get you, like you talked about, admitting to something they didn't do. The other thing I really loved was when they put on, she wasn't the chief, but like one of the lead sergeants, the female police officer, and pulled out that report.
Right.
And he's like, you put in the report on this day, even though you weren't at work that day, you were at a wedding 45 minutes away.
Right.
But you put on this report that she tried to kill someone. But you only had two lines
to explain that.
You had a whole report before that about the cell phone. And first I got thrown up by the cell phone. I'm like, where'd the cell phone come from? But he said that was a different incident where you wrote a full-on, and you were very methodical about a stolen cell phone.
Exactly.
The make and model. All you put in here was she tried to end his life, basically.
Right. And it just shows.
I love that part because he just totally exposed her.
It just shows that even though he was old, and the character that played him, he had a very distinguished, I don't know how to explain it, a demeanor about him, but he was still very, very sharp. And people thought in court, a couple times I did, he's looking at a roach climbing through while he's missing and he's not objecting. I'm like, oh, this old guy's gonna blow it. Oh. But he's upset. He's just taking everything in, and he's just like, give me all the ammunition. You're telling me what I need to know so I can poke holes in your story. Right. And then he went and destroyed them.
Oh, man.
Destroyed them.
But what about the beginning part where they're doing and this is where it's different. I wonder if this is how Indian court is, or maybe in some regions of India where you're allowed to bring that witness back and forth. At least from TV, I'm not a lawyer. When you bring a witness to the stand, then both sides get a chance to ask some questions and they're excused. You can always bring them back, but it happens very rarely.
Right.
But these people, I'll take the stand. No, I want to go back on the stand. No, I want to go back on the stand. I mean, it was wild. But at the beginning, when the defense is starting, or the prosecution, is starting, and they're bringing up their witnesses, and the waiter said this, and the driver said this, and all this kind of stuff, every time the lawyer is just like, I have no questions.
He's just chilling.
And by the third or fourth time, the girl's like, please say something.
Say something.
Help us out. But you're right. He was just building up. This is your story? Okay. I mean, I love that stuff. I absolutely love this movie. The guy who, I wish I knew the actor's name. Please forgive me. You did a phenomenal job. Here's this picture right here. I can't gush enough about this movie. I'm trying to think of some other really big moments.
For me, I think the one thing that really... I remember watching, thinking to myself, like, man, I don't know if this is just in that province or that part of India, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's the judge and the lawyers, and that's it? And this isn't like a civil case. This is
I was gonna say,
murder.
In civil cases here you have that.
This is murder. She could go to jail for the rest of her life. And it's basically the two lawyers arguing to the judge, and he's basically judge, jury, and executioner. I'm like, there's no jury trial. That was insane to me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. In American law, at least, both sides have to agree to it, but there is that option that we don't use a jury, that we just go with the judge.
Yes.
Correct?
You can do
That's
that.
That's an option. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Because a jury's going to help one side, at least, usually.
Exactly, and that happens seldomly. But especially in a capital offense, that's definitely an option, and you're always going to go with a lawyer. That's the first thing that I'm not a lawyer. I'm sorry. With a jury, that's the first thing a lawyer will tell you, because all we need to convince is one juror that you didn't do anything, and that you deserve the benefit of the doubt. Excuse me. But that was like, wow, you got this old dude. Imagine being these girls. You already experienced this traumatizing situation. They don't really have any money. This guy's defending them for free. And he's in court, and the first day he's asking no questions. He's watching a roach that's climbing through a little thing. And by the way, there's no jury. It's just this judge. So if he screws up, you're done. It's over for you. Holy cow. But, just think about that for a second. You, me, we're two lawyers, right? And we're arguing to this judge for the lives. I think about it as a lawyer, too. Like, man, that's a lot of pressure on the lawyer to get it right. Because, ultimately, you could cost just through a mistake, you could cost your client their freedom. You can cost them the rest of their lives. I mean, that's, man.
And thank goodness for them. And again, this is where it was more realistic. They create a character in the judge for this movie, someone who did not care about the influence of the rich family.
Right.
Because that would have been such an easy thing to make it even harder that they overcame. They gave a character who was impartial.
Right.
Fair to both sides. And, I mean, they did a great job of casting the evil lawyer, right? I mean, that guy, he was great at what he did.
He was a small slime ball, man. He reminded me of, from Breaking Bad, like Better Call Saul, because the lawyer was sharp, too. He kept attacking him and boom, boom. And the first 2 days of the trial, you're like, oh, it's over for them. Because he's bringing out witness after witness. He's tearing up their character. He's saying that he was good. He was really good. He just met somebody that was a little wilier and outfoxed them. But man, I'm like, holy cow! It's you hated the lawyer. I think I hated the lawyer.
But he was so good at being annoying.
I know.
Right?
I hated him though more than the actual guy that committed the crime, than the rich dude. Because I'm like, what?
That guy. I mean, everyone did such a great job. I do want to amend one thing, because you're right. It was really the main girl who was accused. I can't remember these names right now. That I felt did probably the weakest acting. The main older girl, she did a great job, and I was really impressed with the girl that played Andrea. enough to be able to remember the name. But I
Nina
thought
was the
and
other
she
one.
was more of a smaller of the three character-wise, but I thought she brought it on every single time. She really applied. I mean, when she yelled out, like, "What are you saying? We did not do that."
Right.
There really was some good acting here. I was expecting the friend of the boys, who was the friend with the girls too. I was expecting him to kind of rat them out and to testify against them, because I thought that would be an easy way to clear them up. But the movie didn't go that way, which, again, props to them that they didn't go that easy route. I thought that's what would happen. But in reality, there's no way he's going to do that and mess up his chance with whatever's going to happen.
Especially because this guy's uncle was so powerful and very influential, and everybody that messed with him knew, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, this guy could make our lives really, really miserable. So again, you could see that's why they didn't do that. But overall, I thought it was a great movie. I'm ready for a grade. You ready for a grade?
Yeah, let me just add one part, because this is something I think is the biggest message I took from this movie. Is this the first time I've seen a movie like this before? No, definitely not. But this is probably the most powerful one where I've heard this message. And the message I got was no matter what someone's appearance is, no matter what someone's behavior is, or no matter what stereotypes are out there, if you want anything, whether it's just hanging out with someone or borrowing someone's video game, or like the matter in this movie, no matter what you want, you cannot force that upon anyone. You have to ask and hope that they agree. And it could be anything in life. And that was the powerful thing. No matter what the excuse is, don't give the excuse. He let me borrow that video game 10 times before. Why would I ask at 11th time? I'm just going to take it. Because you need to ask. That is his. He has the right to say yes or no.
Right.
And I don't want to go too much into that, but that was such a powerful message that there really is no excuse that any guy can give.
No.
Right? When we're talking about this kind of matter, it's simple, yes or no. I mean, it's as simple as that, and it could be anything. Can I walk with you to your house? Yes or no. So, yes, let's get some grades out there.
I mean, I think I'll boil it down to three things. No means no.
Yep.
It's that simple. But, man, for a grade, I thought it was so important. And you know what? I'm actually disappointed in American cinema that with all the things we've done so far, they have not released, with the Harvey Weinstein and all this stuff that's happened in Hollywood and Sarah Lee, they have not released this movie already. They're not brave enough to come out and say, yeah, this is an issue. So I give this movie an A. This movie's amazing. It was a movie that's needed at this time to get the word out there, and it's important. And anyone, forget about it, whether you're a father or not, or have sisters or not. Just as human beings, we got to respect each other. And again, no means no. So great job. I forget the studio that produced this, but great job putting this message out there. And I give it an A.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. This is a great movie. I think if it was remade in the States, it would be an instant success. I mean, it really would.
It's Hollywood. Shame on you, Hollywood.
Even if you
make this movie.
Nothing, right? Because not everyone is as awesome as Boring Reviews that gets a chance to expose. I mean, this movie's on Netflix. It's free if you have Netflix. Go check it out.
Right.
Still on Netflix if you want to check it out. My grade, I say it's easy, but it's not easy, because the difference between an A and an A+, that's where I'm leaning right now, in my mind is so different. For it to be an A+, it has to be something that hits all the boxes, but also is something that I can see myself watching again, made me feel something, and for that reason, I'm giving this an A+. I love this movie. I have no issues. I said the acting a little bit, but it did not bother me. I love the Deepak character so much that for me, it's A+.
I can't argue with that. Sometimes movies are just so culturally important and relevant that, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Joker that just recently came out. It's so culturally relevant that that's all that matters. And I think, again, I cannot believe that here in America we have not released a movie, with all the scandals that have come down, in the last few years with the #MeToo movement. And I'm so glad I saw this movie. And my wife saw it with me. And, we have a daughter to protect, so we have to be vigilant as parents. But, that's about it for me.
Yeah, so don't forget, Boring Reviews is a growing channel. We love you so much for watching and commenting and liking. Don't forget to do this. If you like this video, we have other content on here. We're trying to do more movie reviews. Our audience is really liking that. We have tons of other movie reviews. We have some playlists created that you can check out and just have it running on so you can watch all our stuff if you want. But also, if you really want to help us out, we would appreciate some Patreon love. If you want to know how to do that, check out the link below. But until next time,
Adios.